as clever as can be. He ditched his law degree for plugins that go zing. Now WooCommerce dances every time he pulls a string. Hey, evil
genius! Okay, good morning, guys. It's Spence. It's Friday. It's office hours. Friday, February 27th, 2026. Always surprising how fast time goes. Today, I am going back to my roots. Upon so many requests, I'm going to today something that's kind of old but also new. That is, I've got a client that's been a prospective client that's been in a lot of calls with me. And I got to be frank with you, I don't blame them because they've had some bad luck with agencies in the past. But today, without naming names, I'm going to actually just build the thing for them that they were asking me whether I could do. I'm going to do it live on the show today. And by the way, good morning to everybody who's here. John, thank you for that. Good morning. I was hearing it on my laptop and I took for granted. I've finally started to get this thing worked out. So today I'm going to actually build live step by step, talking you through it, using the tools, what I would do for a client. And now one of the things I really just can't emphasize enough is I was on the WP Tonic show this Thursday, their monthly roundtable with some of my colleagues who are still, they're not skeptical of what AI is. They just are skeptical as to whether or not it's gone as far as it is. And I keep telling them, I'm doing work in minutes that used to take me days, weeks, months, years. Well, today I'm going to prove it because here's the thing. There is the locksmith's paradox. This is a situation where imagine a locksmith who gets people out of their locked out of cars, right? Let's say some person has a Ferrari. It doesn't matter to the person that they got the outcome they want if they got the outcome they want presented in a way that makes them feel good about themselves. But the outcome is the same. What causes difficulty is when people are presented with a situation that makes them feel sort of foolish about it. Let me be more specific because that was very badly said. Let's say you have a Ferrari and you lock yourself out of your Ferrari in the middle of the desert, Las Vegas. You went out to Lake Mead, dropped your keys. You call the locksmith and they say, we'd be happy to come let you in. 5 minutes, we'll helicopter out there, unlock your car, you'll drive away. $5,000. You'd be like, Vegas, Ferrari, desert, come on out. If they came out, went and let you into your car, $5,000 would feel awesome. You go to the tables, make back the money, and call it a day. If, on the other hand, you were in downtown Las Vegas and you pulled in front of, the CVS pharmacy and lost your keys there, and the locksmith was right next door, and they did the exact same thing. They unlocked your Ferrari and said, $5,000. You'd be like, what? You just walked out the door. That's not $5,000. But you see, the reason that situation feels different is because that person has got a preconceived notion of what you did. Not the outcome, but that you walked 5 steps out your door and went instead of getting in a helicopter and going. And even if the helicopter cost maybe a couple bucks extra to fly out, the point is, what I'm showing you today is how I actually do the same amount of work as the people who are in the desert feel is worthwhile, but without actually necessarily showing them how I did it. In other words, I'm going to take a risk here because I've already had this prospective customer calling me 900 times already. I've explained what I'm going to do with Fernando, but today I'm going to show you how I actually use Fernando live on this show to build the full thing that they have been struggling with. $66,000 a year they've been spending, and they still do. It hurts me to say the words. They still do not have an outcome that they want. And it's because they've been to 2 different agencies that have ripped them off, a major company that has ripped them off, a second company that has ripped them off. And these are all people in my space, which makes me feel bad about that. I'm going to leave some names out to protect the not so innocent, but the other ones I'm not going to leave out because these companies are not bad human beings. They're taking advantage of human beings. And I feel like that's not correct. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to close a couple windows. You know, I have to play this dance. So I'm going to set this up to make it fully authentic. I am literally going to go from scratch. So I'm going to show you my messy desktop that was just left over from this morning because I've been developing and coding like a madman. And I'm going to move my StreamYard down like I always have to kind of, unfortunately, make some space. But I think this is going to work out. And it looks like this layout is not too shabby. I think we might do this. Next, I am going to say bye-bye to some of my boys. Bye-bye, Fernando. Bye-bye, Bernardo. Today, I'm bringing back our good friend, Claude. Claude is back. And here's why. Let's set this up from square one so you understand. And by the way, hopefully you can see this good enough that I don't have to zoom in too much, but I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Let's set the stage. Do two things. Okay. Number one, on the right-hand side is a rocket.net hosted site that is launched just like if you go to WP Launchify and you look at my plans. By the way, I'm being very specific today because I want everybody to understand the whole value proposition. If you go here, the pricing that I have has a self-hosted version, a fully hosted version. Let's talk about rip-off number one. WP Engine, ripping off this client. They're charging this client $1,500 a month for, I'm not going to share their name, but for basically a blog post site that has some content on it. If they were to go to rocket.net objectively, and again, I'm just going to call it exactly as I would say to the client. I'm going to say to you, if you go to the rocket.net and you got a site, hopefully my voice will hold out. $30 a month retail cost for what they are being charged $1,500 a month. I don't know what's wrong. I really don't know what's wrong with WP Engine that they do this. They do this again and again and again and again. This client does not they do not have a live event like one of my other clients where there's 30,000 people coming to a webinar. This is static blog posts. Static blog posts. Yes, they have a big list, 170,000 people, but they rarely send out an email. And when they do, it goes to a static page. Rip off. How they got to $1,500 a month, I have no idea. Enterprise. It's enterprise, but it's not. It's a $30 a month site. Okay. This just, I hate this. I hate that I have to say this stuff. I offer that site to the client for $10 a month, which is my my wholesale cost. I have with Rocket their agency pricing, which I said to the client they could get themselves. I have more than 10 sites, but when you go to when you go to 10 sites or more, you essentially get $10 a month per site cost for the very same thing as the $30 a month, which is quite frankly all this client needs versus the $1,500. So right there, $1,500 a month, that's $18,000 a year savings. That includes the modern Cloudflare CDN, the backups and security, the optimization that also has Spence built in with unlimited email support, which, by the way, I normally charge $300 an hour, even if it was less than that. Let's assume it's roughly $300 times 12. That's $3,600. We're already up to $21,000 a year of difference just on that alone. And I cannot overstate that. This client already uses software that we have in the software bundle. WooCommerce subscriptions, LearnDash Pro. There's a bunch of stuff that's still left over in the stack that we might still use, maybe we wouldn't, that if you added up the value of all this as an agency, I have the original licensing content, the original plugins, if you will, I'm able to give them all of that built in, no cost to them. I just eat the cost. I have unlimited access to all of the software because it's open source. It's, like any agency in WordPress. All of the AI software that I'm including and the API keys. Let's talk about the value proposition. If you go to Claude and you go to their Ultra plan or Max plan, which is essentially what is going to be necessary to do the very same stuff I'm going to show you today, that is $200 a month. That is your starting point, $200 a month. If you are on Cursor, like I am using, Cursor Ultra plan, that plan goes even higher. Okay, it's $200 a month, but like I've shown you guys, when you go to town on it and you're using Opus, you end up spending way, way, way more than that. But let's just use the basic. Let's assume at best it's $60 a month. At probable it's $200 a month, and they probably would use more, but that's included. So that's $2,400. So I'm at essentially $18,000, $3,600. I'm at $21,000 plus $2,400. I'm calling it $24,000 already. Inside of this setup is the value of the FluentCRM with no cost. They are currently using ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is charging them $4,000 a month. Why? Because their list is 170,000 people. But let's talk about this for a second. They are not doing anything that is that extreme. Occasionally, they are sending out the emails. Let's say they sent out 10 million emails a month, which, first of all, would be ridiculous. But let's just pretend that they did. First of all, they have no income right now. None. It's all free. But let's say they had a list of 200,000 people. What the actual F is going on that they're being charged $2,400 just because the names are on the list? That is not for sending. That is just for having the contacts on the list. It goes higher. If you go above this, I'm suggesting to you, look at what's going on. They have 170,000. They're being charged $4,000 a month. Now, what I assume is happening is that they are being charged more than $2,400. They showed me the invoice, and I think there was like a base plan of $800 and then another fee of something, and they were being charged $3,500 for sending. But let's go to Amazon SES pricing. If you have a company of that size that has got 170,000 people on a list, and you are going to send out, let's say, 10 million emails, okay? You can look at the cost here. I think they have a calculator. I'm going to need a calculator. Let's go to ChatGPT for this because Amazon never makes it easy. Can you calculate on Amazon SES the cost of a 170,000 person email list that sends, let's say, 10.5 million emails a month? I believe the cost is going to be $1,100. Here it is. $1,050 a month. So let's assume ActiveCampaign is ripping them off to the tune of $3,000 or more a month. That's $36,000. So 36,000 plus 24,000. Hey, what's 24K plus 36K? I know the answer. My brain still works. 36K. It's $60,000. Okay. I did that before ChatGPT, by the way. $60,000. The other 6,000 comes from things such as, and by the way, I'm not saying they have to use Amazon SES. If they used another service, they might spend more. But I'm saying Amazon SES is the right tool for this job. And undeniably, something about the topic of golf would not have any problems. The other thing is, what's the cost? What's the value of all the time involved in these human beings doing what they do. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting, they have a team of at least 6 to 8 people, plus an editor, the guy who runs it, who's very smart. Thousands of human hours. The people that I met with were excited, I think, about, I'm finally going to come in and fix this problem, which is a Jenga game of things built by agencies that had no concern for them or what they were doing. They just were outsourcing the work, right? You ever seen Jenga? Jenga is this game where it's these blocks, and you win the game. Here's a good image of it. You win the game when somebody who is trying to pull a block out knocks the tower over. That's what these people feel. Every time they try to do the most basic thing, it's Jenga, because the way it was built by somebody else was just a bunch of things woven together that don't even work, and nobody knows what to do. The agency's gone, or they got fired. The second agency got fired after spending an inordinate amount of money. One agency was costing them thousands a month. One agency was costing them hundreds a month, and neither agency did anything to solve this simple problem. So setting it up, let's just throw that into along with the other human time, thousands of dollars of lost time, productivity, plus opportunity, because according to this company, they are months behind schedule on what would have been the launch of a very basic thing that we are going to do today. Okay, if somebody takes me up on this plan, it's $197, and then I offer to the client, we could do hourly, but let's just call it what it is. You need a VIP experience. You need me to come in for $5,000 and essentially get rid of, remove all of the things that aren't working and fix it. But when they showed me their site, it was such a Frankenstein. My thought was this: let's not fix Frankenstein. Let's leave it alone for right now, because you have a priority. The priority, and this is where the concierge comes in. Priority is, what do you need to do to make money? Well, they have 170,000. They have thousands of people who are influencers. They need to get this new membership product out there now, like yesterday. And I said the best way to do that is, let's just do it on a new box with a subdomain that's marketed clean and fresh. We can leave the old stuff alone, and we can address that another day. If we accomplish just that task of launching the new thing immediately on a new box, we will have all the data in a way that's usable, and then you can start making money immediately, which does two things. A, it launches the product that is their primary business concern, and B, it actually starts to pay immediately for spends. $5,000 plus $197 a month is a small amount of money compared to what they're going to immediately save by getting rid of some of these overpriced rip-off services. That, by the way, I say rip-off because I think a company has the responsibility not to sell their customers things they don't need. That is it. Sorry. I feel that that's what our responsibility is as human beings. So if I'm in a business of ripping people off by selling them things I don't think they really need, shame on me. That doesn't happen in Spence's world. I am going to pretend that this client paid me, as hopefully they will, maybe later today. We have a meeting at 2:00 today. $197 a month plus $5,000. Here's what they would get. They would immediately get their hosted site using rocket.net. I do not need Hello Dolly. What I immediately put in is only one plugin, just one plugin, just one ping, Mr. Zucalaya. The one plugin that I have is the MinuteLaunch Plugin Manager. Watch what happens. When I deactivate that, ignore all the notices and everything. You will see there's just the plugin manager, and then I did install, because I wanted to save time, the one physical plugin is the Canvas Block if we need it. And then I also put in for fun, although I might not use it, this new component, MinuteLaunch Claw, because in case I wanted to play with that, that is going to be included in the plugin manager. But right now, all we would need for this is the plugin manager and the Canvas Block, maybe. We will also want to install, using now the tools, Launch Kit, we will install WooCommerce, and we will need FluentCRM. And that's as simple as either asking the dudes to do it, or we could do it ourselves. Let's just do it this way first. The first thing that I do is if I go to the plugin manager, I will toggle on the components that we need. And that's where I also click the button to install the Canvas block in case I wanted to build with the Canvas block versus simple site. I also include the keys that I mentioned for OpenRouter and so forth so that all the tools have what they need to actually interact with the LLM without you paying an extra $200 a month because it's built in. Typically, what I will do at this point is I will take the FluentMCP and I will go to set up and install, and I will connect a dude. I can use a desktop dude like Claude, or I can use a desktop dude like Cursor. Today, I'm going to use Claude, even though Claude is kind of clunky and slow sometimes, and I feel like he talks one-on-one, and I use Cursor all the time. I'm going to use him because he's so easy to use, and he's got this brand new co-work, which is awesome. So I'm going to set him up to work in a folder today, and I'm going to use the metaphor I always tell you about, which is I have on my desktop this GitHub directory, and I've set up a new folder called Golf Client inside of my MinuteLaunch Clients subfolder. So whenever I work with a client, I simply add them in here, and I make a folder for them. Now I've got a space where Claude can work, Cursor can work, where all the stuff that we create together is always available to make it easier. So whether I'm chatting or co-working, just as easy. I'm going to just say hello. Hey, Fernando. Also want to tell you this. I'm going to move into more models. I'm going to go full Opus 4.6 today. Okay. Remarkably clever. Opus 4.6. Okay. I just want to let you know you're on a live show. And we are going to build a live site. I want to make sure you are connected to this UZSC8GZT2Y site. And I mean with the FluentMCP. Oh, my friend just texted. Hold on. And then we're going to say always allow. I'm distracted slightly just because I'm going to share my link with a friend who's asking me. Okay. So what he's asking me for is, can I connect? And I'm going to say always allow. And what this allows is if I want to use Claude or Cursor, they have a remote FluentMCP. And MCP is the walkie-talkie that allows it to talk to the WordPress site and have access to about 191 tools. Okay, now here's what's super cool. Let's just start with some of the basics. When I need to install some stuff, in the past, I would go in and have to install all of these plugins manually. Let's, number one, talk about setup and install. I can have him in planning mode if I want. And I think with the desktop, I have to go into click research mode, which is fine. But whether I need that or not, objectively, it's not that complicated. I can also turn on extended thinking. I don't think I need it. I think regular Opus 4.6 is going to be fine. So I'm going to say this. Hey, good morning. Here's what I want you to do. Let's do a little conversation first, planning. I'm going to need you to install WooCommerce and FluentCRM. I think you also have the tools that you can go into MinuteLaunch Kit MCP and also add the pro version or the pro version of I'm sorry, I said FluentMCP, of FluentCRM. You can add the pro version of FluentCRM. But for right now, can you install WooCommerce plugin from the repository and also install FluentCRM from the repository, just to show that you can do that? So one of the things that he can do is he can take care of managing all of the plugins. The reason that this is relevant is whether the plugins come from the repository or they come from the launch kit, there's nowhere else for him to have to go. He's got everything he needs to help me build, or he can build autonomously. So if I were to put him into co-work mode, or if I did MinuteLaunch Claw, I could just be like, here's a client site. I need you to put in everything you need and plan, and so on and so forth. Okay, so he's installed the plugins. Let's take a look now at our plugin stack. I'm doing this with you because I'm going to show you how quick this goes. So WooCommerce is here. Fluent CRM is at the top. Let's ask him also. Here's a question. You've got the MinuteLaunch Launch Kit MCP, which gives you access to my Pro plugins. Can you also include WooCommerce subscriptions and FluentCRM Pro, which might be called something else in there, but figure it out. See if you can install those yourself from the Launch Kit. Now, this one's interesting because he's got the capability. Let's see if he figures it out. He's got tools from me that let him look inside of the very same thing we're looking at here. And I might have to help him, but let's see what FluentCRM is called. FluentCRM Pro, right? I'm going to give him a little help here. Just so you don't waste a lot of time, you've got the MinuteLaunch Launch Kit that has the REST API and the tools. Use those commands, please. So what I'm telling him is, and this is sometimes what I have to do. Sometimes when I'm doing these little weird things, I'll just do it myself. But if I go into here and I go into tool reference for FluentMCP, all I need to do is just explain to him what he's able, to manage here, right? Fluent Community, Fluent CRM, Social, MinuteLaunch Canvas Block, Simple Site, and so forth. If I wanted him to work with this, I could have him do that. I'm just going to save some trouble because instead of me sitting here going in circles, let's assume that he can do it because I know he can do it. You already saw him do it with the regular plugins. I'm going to go to Launch Kit and just add these plugins because it's more important what he actually does with it. And by the way, sometimes it's just as fast for me. I mean, I could just as easily go ahead and I could do this for a client site and I just go install and activate, right? Not really that hard for Spence. WooCommerce subscriptions if I need it, right? Install and activate. WooCommerce Stripe Gateway, right? Install and activate. Okay, so if I do those things, then if all is going well here, we should have those plugins available to us. I'm going to actually do this one other way, though, because in case the activate is causing me trouble, I'm just going to install them, and I'll do that manually. So let's go to FluentCRM Pro, install. Something might be wrong on my end, so if that's okay, I'll fix that. And again, if I have some boo-boos here today, let me show you what's also interesting. When you belong to the subscription service, let's say I log in here now, you always have access to the plugins regardless. So if I'm having a moment here, I can always just go to the plugin itself and install it the usual way, which is no problem. So FluentCRM Pro. Oh, I see. So the problem is I'm having trouble with my server, which that's on Spence because I was messing around with it over here. Let me actually create the new bundle. While it's doing that, let's go back to what I would do next. With regard to the actual CRM, I don't need the Pro CRM. They're going to use it. And I don't need the subscription yet. We're going to use it. We just need to have the basics set up. So let's just tell him to go to the next step, which is in preparation. Let's try a different tact. In preparation for what we're going to build, let's talk about the strategy. This is a company that has 170,000 people on an email list, and it's the premier golf online news source, insider stories. What I would like to do is let's make up the name of this company. We're going to call it Golf Insider. And I need you to do a couple things. First of all, I believe that you have the capabilities to design something like a logo. This company already has a logo, but just for shits and giggles, can you actually create an AI image that would be suitable for a logo that would be golf colors and call it Golf Insider. Make it big and bold, green background, big white letters, something that's a square, 500 by 500. Now, I don't actually like to use the dude for logos. I like to use Canva. So I'm going to show you what I would probably do in parallel. I would probably go create and custom size. I'm going to do it at the same time he's doing it. 500, 500. And I like Canva. So I'm going to say golf icon. And there's really cool starter points here. So I would probably pick something that's really simple. I kind of like this one. This is a little busier, but I'm just going to call it Golf Insider. Premier Golf News. Okay. So he's creating the logo. Just let's see what he does. But I'm going to call this done. Share. I just download it. And I'm going to limit this to 50K. So it's not so big. Okay. He's created a logo. Let's see what he created. He created that. It's actually not bad. And I'm going to say, okay. That's pretty darn good. Not bad. The color's a little dark, but I like what you did there. All right. Next is, I'm thinking about whether or not to set this up. We're going to do this as a membership site, but I'm thinking about setting this up. We're going to use WooCommerce in order to sell. It's a $97 a year simple subscription. I need to install the subscription plugin, but let me ask you first, can you just set up the basic product? Is there a way, if you did it yourself, that we could even bypass using the simple the WooCommerce subscription and just do that as an annual charge that would charge again, or do we need to use the WooCommerce subscription plugin? I'm going to ask him the question. I know the answer, but the reason is because there have been times when he's just written a simple piece of code and that just does the job. This is just one thing only. Okay, so he's confirming that it would be a good idea to just do this as a subscription. So we're going to go ahead with it. I kind of knew the answer, and I like using WooCommerce, even though we could use FluentCart, because this particular client already has other things that WooCommerce would be a good match for. WooCommerce connects to everything under the sun. FluentCart does not yet. We technically could use FluentCart, and it would be really fast and easy, but because WooCommerce is so ubiquitous, $5 word, we're going to go with that. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to get the, let me get the WooCommerce subscription installed. I'm going to just grab the plugin real quick. I think I fixed my bundle in the meantime. I'll clean up the old bundles. This is the tool that I use for making the actual bundle available so that when I'm over here, this should work to download. If not, I've got a backup here. Some days I just have a bad day. So let's see if we can get WooCommerce subscription. My server is still failing, so I'm just going to fix that afterwards. It happens. Okay, and then next I'm going to do FluentCRM Pro. Okay, and let's just put those in. I mean, again, he could put them in. I'm just going to save time by putting them in myself. So I'm just going to upload those the traditional way. I don't know what I did to my server, but I'll fix that next. What I've been trying to do is optimize so that I have one server that serves thousands of customers and does so without the normal need to do the stuff that you know about, like all these infinite number of places to log in and subscribe, or even the process I'm doing now. It would be super cool if you could just click a button. The problem is that in doing so, sometimes I break a lot of stuff. And I famously do that here. I'm not embarrassed to say that's one of the benefits of doing what I do live. Everybody who's watched me said, Spence, I felt much better about myself when I saw you after your expertise in so many years doing stuff, fumbling around like in the dark. Okay, so as simple as that, we've added these 2 other plugins, and we also need the Stripe gateway, but that one's easy. So I'm going to just tell him, in the meantime, can you install the WooCommerce Stripe gateway from the repository real quick? Okay. And let's just, between the 2 of us, we'll have all the tools we need. We're going to create the product first. So I've got WooCommerce, WooCommerce Stripe Gateway, WooCommerce subscriptions. We got FluentCRM and FluentCRM Pro, which we really don't need the Pro, but I'm just putting it in anyways. Okay, now a couple things that I would normally do here is with the FluentCRM, I would always go to it and just install the basic setup. So I just go to settings, and I'm going to tell it the name of the business, right? So we said it's going to be Golf Insider. And 1234 Main Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60647. That's for the purposes we talked about. I'm going to actually use the logo that I created, but I'm also going to have his available if I want to fall back on it. And over on the left, I've got the dude working here. Now, we're just needing one list, and he can create this list if we want, but I'm just going to call it main list. If you had 2 types of people, you could have something like influencers or something. You could use another list. But the reason that I tend not to do that is because if I use my show and tell here, I think it's better to have everybody in the same room wearing tags to segment them rather than being in 2 rooms. But you can run multiple businesses with separate lists. And then I'm going to just create some sample tags. Now, here's another metaphor. I like to give out a receipt tag and a can access tag, like Costco. Yes, Mr. Foreman, you bought the membership at one point. Yes, you currently have the membership. So I'm going to say purchased insider and then can access insider. And that's the membership access capability. Okay, next, we're going to not need Fluent Forms. We're going to pass on that. We're going to complete the installation. All right. He's complaining about this and that, whatever. We're going to see what he's able to do. Let's go to the CRM dashboard. And let's take a gut check of what we got. I'm going to ask him now. I've installed WooCommerce subscriptions. Can we create a simple subscription product that is $97 a year called Golf Insider and set it up using the actual image that I uploaded to the media library that is for the, the featured image of this? Put the description that you think would be helpful to really sell premium quality golf news, online news magazine. In other words, write the title Golf Insider Annual, but also describe it properly and set it up, because I want you to make the sales page for this. I want you to do it in HTML5 and use golf appropriate colors. Look at the kind of greens and other blues and things I used in the logo and use that for making it in HTML5. I want you to create the sales page for now. Let's create it on a MinuteLaunch Canvas page so we can just look at it together. Okay, so here's the interesting choice. I can have him make the end results first, and then what I can also do is have him make a page using the capabilities of the MinuteLaunch Canvas Block, but I ultimately might use Simple Site to set this up. Now let's talk about why Simple Site versus not. If I am right now in the site and I go to themes, he can install, if I needed to, by the way, Cadence, or I can just add the free Cadence theme. I do not need the pro version. I just need the free version. And the reason we do this is just for continuity. I've been showing everybody how to use Cadence. It has the page layout tools and the basic things, but we really don't use any of the advanced features anymore. We really just use most of the core stuff. So if I wanted to do so, I could use Cadence or have him set up Cadence to do the basic things. And the basic things are like, you know, my design is going to have some greens and blues and whatever. And I can do this in a variety of ways, not by way of what I just clicked on, but by way of the appearance. If I go here to customize, I can just do my color finder, and I can even use the style guide, right? So with the style guide, I can ask him to give me a color palette that can be used inside of the style guide. Now I can do this a couple different ways. One of the easiest ways is to just go into the palette, click on the folder, say export, and grab this. And I'm going to say to him, hey, Fernando, here's the color palette that is used by Cadence. Can you go ahead and give me a bunch of golf colors that are, you know, really in the greens and the golf color families, light, bright, maybe a touch of blue accent and so forth. Here you go. Give me these back in a way that would be, you know, greens and things that would be appropriate for us to use in this particular site. Okay. So what I'm saying to him is, let's override what's here by just giving me a color palette in this format that I can drop in. I can also use human tools. Like, for example, if I went over here and went to coolers, sometimes I'll use this and I'll just pick out something and I'll tell coolers, hey, I need a palette of green stuff. It really makes no difference, right? But if you use the generator or have him use the generator, I'm not going to do it, right? And this actually, I think has, I'm not 100% sure. I think it actually has some kind of AI here, AI tools, right? So if you want to pay for it, but you don't have to do that. You can just pick stuff from what's there because, you know, you still got a brain in your head. So if I went over here and I said tools, let's see, palette generator, palette visualizer, explore palettes, you know, I could just pick something in the greens and go with it. Fresh greens, golf, whatever. There's 100 ways to get the palettes. But in this case, I'm just going to work on him and say, just do me a favor. Do me a favor. Just give me back the colors that I need in that format so that we can use the greens like building a golf site. Okay, he's kind of given it to me, but I need it in that format I gave you so I can just paste it into Cadence. And that's Cadence. I'm going to spell it for him just so he knows for sure. Okay, so let's just copy this out. And again, this is just the way I'm doing it today. I can do it a variety of different ways. But if I go ahead and import this, still using the old-fashioned stuff. It's a little darker than I would want, but it's acceptable. All right, publish. Now let's ask him back to the question of what he has done, if anything, for the sales page. And I don't know whether or not he's actually created the product. So let's just see if he has, and that way I'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, he already created the product. Let's just take a look at what he made. So right now it's a simple product. We want a simple subscription and it should be $97 a year. I'm not sure why he did that the way he did, but let's just fix that. It's virtual. There's maybe a downloadable. I don't think there is, but there might be a PDF or something. He did all the content, right? Which is nice. The product image, for some reason, I'm not sure why he didn't choose it, but I'm just going to choose it for him. And he did upload his own image, which is interesting. Maybe he prefers his own stuff. Okay, so now we've got this. I'm going to just talk to him like, okay, I've got now your simple subscription product, which you see there. I also want you to finish doing what's necessary for the setup of WooCommerce just to get rid of that notification. But really, if you want, create the sales page that will offer this in the most effective way possible to golf enthusiasts. And that way you can just put the link to directly go to checkout with this product. Now, this is a point where I want to stop and talk. One of the problems that this particular client has is that they don't really have anybody that's been doing digital online sales. And one of the things that I am suggesting is different about the old-fashioned publishing industry versus digital online sales is it's not just the price of the product, it's how you offer it and where you offer it. And one of the things is they've got content, but you really need to do kind of almost like you see in every single instance of an online magazine. If you go to something like the New York Times, the first thing they're going to do when you click on something is try to sell you a subscription, right? I don't particularly like the way they do this, but they're saying, look, create a free site or a free account, log in, try it, and then here's your subscription options. Because the whole point is they're trying to get you to subscribe $1 a week or whatever. So we're going to want to do the same thing, right? Let's see what he's saying. He sees the WooCommerce pages, and let's see. Oh, he's making the page right now. Okay, so he's working on the page right now. One of the things that's built into WooCommerce is another reason why I kind of like it, although this is also in FluentCart. Notice we can do a free trial. If we wanted, we could give him a 7-day free trial for $1. Easy, right? I'm also going to do something here because he's working on the sales page. I'm actually going to tell him we're going to do a $1 free trial. Hey, Fernando, we're going to do a $1 free trial. So when somebody buys this and signs up, it'll be 7 days for $1, and then it'll charge the annual $97. Okay. I'm going to let him know about that. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of get ahead of the curve on him. And I'm also going to add in, if I wanted to, the tags, right? He can do the tags, but if they successfully purchase, we're going to give them 2 tags, right? Can access insider and purchased insider. Why? Because one is the receipt and one of them is the actual can access whatever it is that's protected. Next, if they cancel, what we can do is we can remove the can access tag, but we'll make sure that they still have the insider tag. So that's sort of like when you go to Costco and you return something, you know, they take the big black magic marker and they write over your receipt. So again, subscription expire or cancellation, it's the same thing. We're going to give them back the tag that says, yes, at one point they did purchase it, but they're not going to have the can access tag anymore. So I'm just getting ahead of him for that. And he's updating the page. And again, I don't know what he built, so we're going to talk to him about that in a second. So sales page product. The checkout in WooCommerce by itself is very janky, but I'm going to show you what's here. It's using their default checkout features, which we're going to stick to for right now. If I were to add this in, for example, and we're not going to do this, but if I added this in and then I go to look at the actual checkout page, you will see that it's using the default components. This isn't launch flows. I'm not going to worry about this today. I just want you to see that, like, how easily the mechanism is in place, because today I want to focus on the mechanics more so than the nuances, which we can get to later. Okay. So he says he's also got a sales page. So while he's been working on that, let's go look at what he's built and see if it's sufficient. And he's claiming that he's still creating the page, but I'm going to also just tell him he can save us both the trouble if he needs to. I can see he's got a drafter. If it saves you the trouble, you could just give me the HTML here ready to paste in, but I know you have the capability of publishing, so either way. Be sure you use the MinuteLaunch Canvas Block method. Okay. What happens is typically I will copy and paste. I will not sit here and watch him do it. It doesn't really matter whether you use him or you use an outside tool. Let me just actually tell him. Can you just give me the HTML5 here? And it'll, oh, never mind. The reason I'm beefing on him is that this is why I don't use Claude, to be honest. Claude, I have to notice, keep interrupting. That bothers me. When I'm using Cursor, he does it independently. I may switch to Cowork in a second to show you how cool this could be, but let's just use what he gave us in the meantime and see how he did. I'm just making a point that, like, you could use the guy here. You could also, and I haven't done it yet, use our built-in dude in the site. I'm saving the best for last because I want you to see that you can use the tools available to you as well. Let's see what he gave us. Not too shabby. Not the best, but not too shabby. This looks very AI-like, but I want you to understand the concept. Okay. What did I not do right there? I was doing some other stuff, yada, yada. I'm in this for 20 minutes total. I've already got the product, the subscription. I've got the logo. I've got the sales page. I'm going to tell him a couple of things. Okay, you did a great job, by the way. Nicely done. I think I would like to center the Golf Insider logo on that page. And I'm not a fan of that color yellow. It's not bad. It's just you get too much try it now and start $1 trial now. Can you make it look less like AI and more like a clean, professional golf magazine? So in other words, something that's really minimalistic and gets to the point and sells really well and does not have emojis or all that classic bullshit that you're putting in there with, you know, those green edges. Make it classy, new, modern, contemporary, something focused on the content. Okay. Fix this page for me. Okay. I'm going to give him the instructions to do that. And Opus is not bad. Gemini is better. So if I took the same stuff, by the way, okay. If I took the same stuff you see me do, and I go to Gemini, Gemini does a good job. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but I am going to do an experiment. First of all, I'm also going to turn off the site. I'm going to go live. And we've already got FluentCRM set up, but we don't have any automations for what the follow-up is. So I'm just kind of whittling away at this. While he's doing that, if I went to the page that he gave us, let's just do an experiment on the side. Notice he's using the MinuteLaunch Canvas Block, which is super awesome. He knew how to do that. I take this, and I'm just going to go to Gemini on the side. I'm going to cheat on Opus. Can you make this into a more modern, contemporary look and feel? Use the same colors, but less colors. Get rid of all the emojis. Get rid of all the cliche bullshit like that looks like it was done by an AI, and make it something that was really powerful to sell. And you can remake the copy if you want to, for people to subscribe to this professional golf magazine for $97 a year. Okay. One of the reasons I'm doing this is Spence is really good at marketing. But what I'm doing now is I've got access, and I didn't set him up as a pro, by the way. I just am asking him cold. I have access to unlimited expertise now for design, for marketing, for copywriting. I am orchestrating, like my friend Harry says, like a vintage circus ringmaster, what to do, right? I am literally a ringmaster working with the lions. And I'm actually going to share this with my friend Harry, who's joking with me that he says, you sound like a ringmaster. Okay, let's do two things. While Gemini's working, let's see what Claude actually did to fix this situation. I don't know what happened. I think you broke or didn't publish it the same way. Can you either republish it again or give me the HTML directly to see? Sometimes he flubs up. Maybe because I had the page open, we'll see. And let's just see what our other dude did. This is always fascinating to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually leave this alone. I'm going to just create a second page myself, new page. And I'm going to call it Gemini right now, just so I can see, because I do this. And sometimes I do this because I'll show this to the client. I'll be like, hey, which one do you like better? Right. And let's do this hide header and footer too, publish. And the reason is that now we can have alternatives to play with. When I'm working with Cursor, this doesn't usually happen. Cursor just takes care of it. Now he got rid of all of the colors and did a good job, by the way, but just not enough colors, and also the centering. So I'm going to just tell him one thing. And again, I want to show you one other thing that I came across, which is a conversation. I don't think I should be designing this. This company has an art director. They have an art director. I'm not going to be doing this. The art director, I don't want to show you the company, but they already have an art director. Nevertheless, I need two things. First of all, I need that logo centered on the page. This has to be mobile responsive. I need you to reintroduce some greens. This should have like green is the main accent color, but like a light golf green, kind of like what was in the logo. And I need otherwise accents to bring out some things. I like that it's otherwise very focused, but green and colors, and also bring in some golf images. Use some placeholders for the moment if you need to exemplify some of the benefits and features here for the $1 trial, $97 a year offer. Okay, so what I'm saying and doing is I'm giving the dudes explanations, words about what I'm trying to achieve for the customer. Why? Because the customer knows what they want and they're asking me, and I'm like sitting at the desk here, the Four Seasons, saying, oh, Mr. Foreman in the presidential suite is interested in 4 dozen roses. They have to be this type from this place and this thing, because I know better where to achieve the outcome by talking to my dudes, but the customer doesn't know. They're asking me to be the intermediary. Okay. And that's what we're doing now. This is how we're going to win in the world. Now, he did a nice job. Nice freaking job. I'm going to give him a different color without showing you where I'm getting this from. If I can. I'm going to do a sampler because the color of this customer is an unusual color. I'm going to give him this palette. Can you do the same thing, but change it to sans serif fonts? And can you use this as the primary green? Sans serif is a fancy word from the days of publishing. It means no feet on it. He's got an old-fashioned font. I want a modern font. And I'm also going to tell this dude the same thing. Once we get past this, we're going to be rolling, because now what they're doing that, I can just go in the back here, by the way, and I'm going to just fix a couple other things that we're going to need. We could install launch flows and bypass going to the cart, which I think we should do. So I'm going to also download or install launch flows here. I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to leave that alone. Launch flows would normally be, instead of them doing this nonsense where they have to go to the cart, we want it to go right to checkout. So also be sure to make your button direct to checkout. So use the linkages in WooCommerce that allows you to bypass the cart and go right to checkout. Okay. What we don't need to do is we don't need to show the product page. We just need to set up the link so it uses the syntax built in that allows direct to checkout. There are some other nuances, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to payments in WooCommerce and just turn on the basics of a test checkout using Stripe Gateway. And I'm using the Stripe plugin. So I hide all these other upsell bullshit suggestions that WooCommerce forces on you. Offline payments, maybe. But for this, we're just going to go here and watch how easy this is now. All I need to do is just create a test account. It's so awesome because now I can actually do a live checkout with a client, and you say, skip this form. And ta-da, I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay. So I'll have an actual product, a sales page, FluentCRM, applying tags. We're good to go. I'm in test mode. I don't need any of these other extras or add-ons, including I personally do not like it when the extra Amazon or Apple Pay or a link with Stripe, I don't like when these are included because they distract people in my opinion, from just using their normal payment method. I really feel like just turn it off. You don't need it. And depending on how WooCommerce works, sometimes that, okay, so that effectively worked. Let's see what his new thing is. And we're coming around the corner. Okay, pretty freaking awesome. Pretty freaking awesome. I know what this is supposed to be, and I know what the customer's thing looks like now. Let's see what Gemini has given us, just as a comparison. It's nice to compare. And I'm going to pick one or the other. Pretty nice too, but I got to be honest, Opus wins. Opus wins. I'm going to delete this page, buy Gemini page, move to trash. Okay, I'm going to say bye-bye to Gemini. Highest of 5s, by the way. So Golf Insider subscribe is the actual link. Now, I'm going to give him this link. I'm going to say, hey, I believe you have the capability with the FluentMCP tools. Can you set this to be the homepage of the site, full width, nothing else? Like right now, we want to focus entirely on this. We don't even need a header or a footer or anything. Now, I'm being very prescriptive here because here's what I'm going to suggest to you. Let's assume we're doing this as a sales page and it's added on to the other site, right? The other site's there. This is here. We're going to have something that becomes a membership-like experience. We really only need to focus on, like when you go to Costco, you go in the door and you either go in the members area or you pay for membership. We don't have a million options or navigation. This needs to work the way it works, right? Just let me in. I'm not sure he's having a little trouble with the update, but let's just see what he can do here. He's claiming he's having a little trouble, so I'm going to let him off the hook. Hold on, no sweat. Stop. I'm going to bring in my dude on the inside. Now, one of the things that I was explaining to you guys is that we have an infinite number of dudes living in the site, including we've got in Simple Site, the Simple Site AI. He can operate either as a standalone mobile chat, if you prefer this, or you can operate him like inside of the site builder, where if we go here at the moment, he looks like this. He can be popped out also, which is kind of cool. So here's the AI assistant. If I pop him out, I could just work with him over here. And he's also set to Sonnet. So let's set him to Opus 4.6 and let's compare the experience. Now he has no idea what the other guy was working on. I'm going to just talk to him. Hey, Fernando, it's Spence. Now I'm talking to you inside of my site. Can you hear me? Also, one of the things that I was sharing with you guys yesterday is when I'm really doing these now, I wear my headset and he can talk to me. But I'm not going to do that to you here because it's super annoying to try to do a show where he's talking and it's going through the transcript. But I want him to see if he can help me set things up. So I'm going to give him this page. We created this page as a sales page. Can you set this to be in WordPress, the default homepage that everybody goes to, and make sure that it's set up so it uses the toggles to hide the navigation and just be full width. Okay, let's see if he can do it inside. Some of the things that I've been building have been like, how does he manage stuff that's already been done? And this may be something he can do or not. We'll figure it out. I think he can already. No, he didn't understand what I asked for. So I'm just going to bypass. This is one of the skills that I need to give him, is to how to do things when I ask him rather than being specific about like build a page. But this is so easy. So all we do is go to Settings General, and it's 2 seconds for me. So instead of sitting here explaining it to him, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go Reading. I'm going to say Static Page. We're going to choose the Golf Insider Subscribe, I think was the page that we gave. Hold on. I'm 99% sure that's it. Okay, so let's choose that. And now when we go to the site, let's see if that's the homepage. One of the things that you have to do all the time, and I should have done it, I should have told you about it, is you have to use permalinks. And by the way, that's probably why he's having trouble. You have to, whenever you set up a new site, click permalinks once, or it just doesn't work. It's because it doesn't understand what's going on under the hood. Still having trouble here, so let's choose the different page. Maybe I got the wrong page. Let's get rid of the alternatives. So what I do for that is I just look at the pages that were created. And notice I've got 3 choices here. Let's see which one is the one. That is the dark one. So I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to put that in the trash. And this one is the mistake. That's going to go in the trash so I don't get confused. This was the one that I think he built, except for some reason it got lost in the mix. So I'm going to just edit the page. I'm going to make sure that we've saved the Golf Insider. Subscribe now. That way I won't get confused. And notice it's set to the link here, so I'm pretty sure that it's good to go. It was probably just something with my cache. When I'm working with the cache, what I'll often do is go to the back end and as a human being, just click purge everything. Because again, we are working with an optimized hosting from Rocket. The only other thing I can think of is that this is WooCommerce that is still set to not show the page, or perhaps it's something to do with simple site. So let's just see if the page shows up. It does not. So I'm going to refresh the page. We know the page is there. So again, these little nuances are what make me a little nutso about WooCommerce. I'm sorry, about WordPress sometimes. I'm gonna save us the misery. I'm gonna put this in the trash. I'm just gonna make a new page called Home. Because I don't know what else to do in this case. It's like trying to do this really fast. Hide footer. We're gonna hide the page title, canvas mode. That is the wrong version. Oh, that's correct. I wanted to also explain to you guys, and I was about to do it before, of one of the things that I've decided that is not really useful is to be in the business of editing design. Not just because they have an editorial director, but because of the fact that I think that people can use things like Canva to make their designs way better than I can. And so I don't need to sit here and do this for a client. The client can go off and do this. All right, we've got this. And now let's just do the basic stuff. With this being a sales page, I would just, on this page, hide the header, hide the footer. Okay, and I would use the toggles here. And we're at 11:10. We're pretty much done, but okay. Let's see what happens. If I start my trial, it takes me direct to checkout. On the checkout page, I could actually have him give me a much better design. But for right now, I could just disable that little doodad that says checkout because that just bothers me a little bit. And I could go ahead and check out for this. It's $1 every year. Free trial 7 days. Let's double check the product because right now it's saying $1 every year. That's a mistake that I made. It should have been $97 a year. So let me just adjust the product and then we're good to go. Okay. So quickly, human being, I know he could do it for me, but I'm just going to change this because I set it in originally. 97 a year, free trial, 7 days. Let's change that. I said free trial, 7 days, but then I essentially didn't mean free trial. What I meant was it should have been $1, not a free trial. Okay. So how do we do that? For that, we can do something like a sign-up fee, $1. $97 a year. And then the sign-up fee itself, let's see how we're going to do this. If we want to do a sign-up fee, free trial, 7 days. So what I've said here is it's a free trial, but it's 7 days, and that you get to do that, but you're going to pay $1 just to validate your credit card. That's essentially what I would do. Now, there's another product that I'll sometimes use here, and I'll just throw this in manually. I can have him do it, but I'll just show you. It's the WooCommerce custom string. Here, it's over here. WooCommerce subscription custom string. There's a plugin that does this, but this allows him or it or you to add essentially a little snippet that changes the wording of that, so you can say whatever you want to do. I'm not going to worry about it too much, but if the wording on this comes out weird, that's how I would adjust it. Let's refresh this and try it again. I'm going to close a couple things. Close. Let's go to the front. And here we go. Still having something to do on the front end with showing the one page. So what we're going to do is set the home page, because I forgot to do that, back to being the default. Static page, home page is now called home. Save changes. Clear to cache. Let's try it out. Absolutely have no idea why the page is playing hide and go seek. So let's just do a quick edit and figure that out. It is possible, and I'm not 100% sure, so we're going to figure that out. It is possible it's because Simple Site is still taken over. Let me explain what Simple Site does. Normally, and I could do that here, normally if you have a page and you want it to be managed through these mechanisms, you have to set up the header and the footer. Simple Site lets you do this with the site builder and allows you to set the home page. This is the reason this is breaking. Simple Site is turned on by him thinking we were going to use it, but we're not using it. So that's why he's showing a blank page. He's like, listen, dude, why aren't you using my page? Okay, here's what we built. I want to do it this way just so I could show it first, and then I'm going to in the last couple of minutes, because I am 15 minutes over, going to go publish this way. Start the trial should send the 7-day full trial access, $1. Okay. I did it 3 times. That's why it's showing 3. So let's not do 3 of them. And what's interesting too is when you're using the standard WooCommerce, you still have to mess around with the cart. When you're using launch flows, you don't. But I'm just showing you this because this is a traditional way of doing it. And that way, if you wanted to stick with this, you could still do it. So we've got $97 a year, $1 due today. Here's my information. Spencer Foreman, 1234 Main Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60647. And I'm going to use my test credit card number from Stripe. We got to do a new year. And then 123. Okay. And then one of the things we're going to do here is see if the order places, we should be in the CRM. And then I'm going to talk about what other things we can do different with Simple Site. And then I'm going to kind of bring this all together, because the important thing is not all the nuances. I can do infinite nuances. You guys know that with the sales funnel and where they go next and so forth. But let's just see mechanically and review what we've got. If I go into WooCommerce, we now have money from an order. If the order was already approved, which it is, $1. It is a subscription. Let's look at it. It is active for a year, $97. It starts in 7 days that will charge them $97. Let's look at the CRM. Here is the CRM. There should be, if all goes well, the contact. that will be Spencer Foreman, who just subscribed and got the tags. Here I am. Can't access insider, purchased insider. One thing I did not do, which I should have done, is I should have set up so that it automatically puts me on the customer list. And the place I would have done that is just simply in FluentCRM settings. The basic settings here would have been integration with WooCommerce. Add somebody to the main list normally if they're a customer, right? And I'm not going to give a default tag. I just want to make sure they would have been on the list. So had that happened, if I had set it up, that would have been done. Now it's done. Okay, so now if I just look at this contact here, what am I able to do? I would need to turn on and set up the Fluent SMTP, and I would connect it to Amazon SES. I don't need to do all of that, and I can have Fernando here add the Fluent SMTP plugin, but I'll just do it real quick myself to show you. The SMTP plugin is what connects this site to whichever SMTP service you use. Instead of $4,000 to ActiveCampaign, you could just do 10 million emails through Amazon SES using this connection and using the CRM in the site. And I'll show you how easy it is, because we'll set it up with, not Amazon, but we'll just set it up with the tester. I have been using Brevo. I've been using SMTP to go. It's 2 minutes tops to set those up. Amazon SES, you need to be approved, but for 10 million emails, come on. I mean, so settings, Fluent SMTP, we would set this up with whatever we want, like Amazon SES or one of these other ones. Here, I could just set it up like this and say from help@wplaunchify.com, from, I would say, Golf Insider. Save. And then what's cool is we can go into test mode, email simulation, which means that all of the emails that will be sent out will be sent out. Now, all these little nuances can be set up by Fernando with this help, but one of the things you know about is like the emails for transactional stuff, right? You can customize these in any way you want, including we can add the logo that we just had. We could change the font and the color. Remember, I gave him that specific color as the accent color. So if I went over here and I pasted that in, and so on and so forth, right? So you kind of get a sneak peek of what it might look like. You can even send a test email. What do we have? Okay, well, let's review for a second. What I've done live without a net, trying to show some of the inside and outside guys, not very well, but enough, is I am not just saying, Fernando, do the whole thing. But what I am saying is, Fernando, use a bare minimum set of tools. I have the MinuteLaunch capabilities, all of the things that could be done in there. I won't go into them. Infinite. Living outside the site, inside the site, even in the browser of the site. I have WooCommerce. I have FluentCRM. I haven't set up any of the other cool things that I can do, but you've already seen how when I'm working with this, the CRM in the site allows me to do really amazing stuff for the content. So for example, if I were to go to Simple Site AI Beta, and now that I have contacts in here, the person running the site in mobile mode would have access to all of the subscribers and the contact people. They would have access, mobile and otherwise, to all of the media that was created to do various things they want to do. They would have access to build stuff or skills or automation stuff. The idea is everything is in this box and everything costs what? It costs exactly what I was saying before. It's $197 a month, including the hosting, including, hey, Spence, how to do this, including all the cool add-ons and accessories, including security, optimized, CDN backups, including the VIP experience, because yes, I've built this thing ready to go. If we wanted to, and I'll do this next, let's go to either of the dudes and go, do me a favor. Now I want to demonstrate how the content would work. Make up 5 new awesome articles about global golfing. Include images that you pull from the internet using your image search tool. Make 5 blog posts for the Golf Insider content. Now, this particular client has their own high-end editorial writers, authors, and everything. They're not going to do this. But I want to show you, for most of your clients, this is just a glimmer of what could be done. It could make automated or otherwise, by the way, because I'm not even showing you co-work, but whether it's co-work or you're using MinuteLaunch Claw, you can have a calendar created that every day the editorial process is automated and the automations to notify people are automated and everything that's done is automated, so that essentially what happens is the system is running on autopilot with you just orchestrating or observing it, and yet the customers are getting everything they need. There's no Jenga games, there's no blocks, there's no efficiency problems. Everything here is optimized. Now, while he's doing that, I was mentioning Simple Site. One of the things that's cool is that if you don't want to use the regular content delivery, Simple Site is a way for you to do this all in one menu, and he's capable of managing it as well. So if I went into Simple Site Site Builder, I could have taken the same content and done it as content blocks. That's kind of the way that this site would work well. I could have had him set up the site, right, with the logo and the color scheme, right? We talked about, here's the hexadecimal color. We could have had him set up Simple Site instead of using all of the traditional blocks and stuff, right? Not sure why I'm having trouble with that hex color, so I'll just type it in, 4CA51. CAF51. He could do all of this stuff. You've seen me do this, so I'm not going to belabor it, but that's an option for a site like this. It would probably be very good because the whole site could be done as just one page. One page. That's it. Right now it's disabled, but you know, this is an alternative. And the neat thing about it is if he's constructing it, he can see it, he can manage it, he can work with it. Okay, he's making the post now, and we can actually sneak in and see what he's doing here, right? And then we can use either Cadence or we can use him to make the content visible. If we really wanted to see the blog posts, this is the simplest business ever. We just go to Settings, Reading, and we're going to say Blog Posts. We need to make a page. So let's make a page called new. Let's call Blog. I mean, whatever. We'll call it what it is. We'll call it Golf Insider. Okay. And what's neat about this is that we don't really need to do fancy stuff. If we wanted to, we could. But this is enough to give us the protection we need. And I'll show you why. If I just simply go Golf Insider and I choose that, we can use his protection capability with the tags, or we can use WP Fusion, or we could use even Fluent itself to protect the content. If right now we look at a page and we go to Golf Insider, we should see the posts. Let's do it a different way. Let's actually go back here and use this navigation link. Okay, so post page, let's just view and see what we got. I'm not saying this is beautiful or this is the way it's going to be. I'm just trying to make a point that this is the output of that stuff, right? Now, we could also do this differently because we could build it on the front page. The front page itself could turn into the display page. Doesn't really make much difference. Either way, now we can say to him, I know I can do this with other tools, but if somebody is a subscriber and they get the tag that they're a subscriber, or otherwise, if you want, what's the best way to protect the content here? I'm thinking one of two ways. We can either protect the whole page itself, or we can make specific articles be protected. What do you suggest we do? Oh, great master Opus. I know that I have some ideas myself because I'm an expert in this, but what would you do to protect the content so that somebody with a subscription sees articles or not. And let's not do anything that's too terribly customized, just something simple. Before he gives the answer, what I would do here is I would use probably WP Fusion, or I would use directly FluentCRM to protect certain articles based upon whether they have the tag of free or members. That way they would get a sneak peek of anything you want to make free, and the other ones would require subscription membership. WP Fusion is awesome for this, so that's typically how I would do it. And so I'll show you how I would do that. But let's just see if he comes up with an idea, because what I suspect he's going to do is he's going to offer to write a plugin or a snippet, which would also be useful, because why do you need a whole plugin, even like WP Fusion or Launch Flows or anything else, if all you're trying to do is one simple thing, right? I mean, sometimes it's easier just to get to the point. I was trying to explain this on the WP Tonic show yesterday, that like, we don't need a plugin that has 9,000 options in it sometimes. Sometimes it's enough to just be like, hey man, give me the snippet I need. Okay. All right, so let me see if he is done compacting his thing. And then in the meantime, just for shits and giggles, I'll show you what I would probably do with this client, is I'll add the WP Fusion plugin, which again, I have insider participation with. So what he's saying here, he's recommending something that's nonsense, which is WooCommerce memberships. We're not going to do that. So this is where I'm going to do different. And again, sometimes I ask him questions and he says, no bueno, or I say, I don't think so. And this is one of the cases where my expertise is going to trump his expertise, because I'll show you how simple this is. With WP Fusion, all we have to do is this. We install the plugin. Oh, I guess it was already in here. Sorry. I had forgotten that I had installed it. Activate the plugin. And then in this case, we're going to just tell WP Fusion under Settings, WP Fusion, that we're using FluentCRM, right? This site. Connect. And when we do this, the only thing that we really need to change is we're just going to go and do taxonomy. That's the simplest way to do this. So if we just out of the box say, okay, don't change anything else, and we simply go under posts, categories. I will make two categories. The first one, which is the default one, I'm just going to call public content. Public content. And I could choose, if I want, by the way, to add the little archive colors, and you know, I can do those little tchotchkes. I'm going to just say update. Then I'm going to add the new tag, which I think is going to be the one that's going to do what we need to do, which is Golf Insider. These are member-only posts. Add the category. Now, here's where it's interesting. WP Fusion makes it this simple. I simply edit this, and then I say, what tag do you need in order for this to work? You have to be logged in, and you have to have the can access insider. Remember, I am paying for it currently. If not, I can either show a custom message, or I can send them to where? Why don't we send them to the home page to basically get the offer that they need to log in and purchase, right? Wouldn't that make sense? If I want, I can also add another tag that says, you know, not yet a member, but tried, etc. Okay, let's give this a try. I want to do two things too. I want to actually suggest that from a navigational standpoint, it would probably be awesome and interesting if we had a link that this dynamically changed from start your trial to view your content. So I'm going to give him the instructions to modify just that, which is, if this is our, whatever, let me just tell him what we're going to do. I installed WP Fusion instead. I want you to make one modification for me, and then we're going to wrap up the show. On the homepage of the site, I put that page that you created, which is the sales page, which was awesome. I'm going to give it to you here just in case. I want you to modify the button that has, or modify the text in the button that has the information about subscribing, so that if somebody's already logged in and has that information has that tag, they just click the same button that says view the content. And now this is an example of how the dude is way better than any plugins I can use to make conditional stuff happen. He can take this page, and rather than me futzing around with it, he already knows what's going on. So he can change the output of this to do exactly what I said, which was change this from a sales page into a view the content, right? I can even, if I wanted, have him put a preview in there. Even make it more exciting. If you want, take the content and you can even have a sampler article and then something that says view all the content. And it has to lead to the page that's set up as the default blog post page for viewing the paid content. So what I've said there is, like, not only make it a teaser, but give a sampler on the front, make it conditional. And then when somebody comes, now, why is this important? This entire business, the $66,000 in 5 months, I've achieved in 32 minutes talking live, and it's all one page. It's 2 pages, really. It's the home page and it's the blog post page. That's it. You don't need more. There will be a 3rd page, which will be the My Account area, because that's where people need to manage. But you see, you do not need to do all this crazy other stuff, okay? So blog page is a Golf Insider too. Let's see if he gives it to me. And I'm also going to say, by the way, here's the CSS you gave me. You can include the CSS as a block above the HTML to make it simpler to manage if you want. And what he did here is he gave me this CSS. I don't need it in a separate area. I can just put it together. So it's kind of easier to manage if he just gives me one lump of coal. And that way, if I'm doing changes in the future, it's all kind of like one copy and paste. At least that's what I've been finding. The reason that I gave you the option in the MinuteLaunch Canvas Block of the separate CSS is there will be times when you have one thing for everything and you want an exception. And it's super cool to have this option. I was inspired by CodePen.io back in the day of how to do it this way. So if you look at the CodePen, I mean, by the way, Chris Coyer, amazing job back in the day of doing this. But if we look at somebody else's CodePen, it just basically, what's going on with that? It had 3 boxes. I'm not sure why it's requiring me to log in here. Hold on. I just want to show you what it is. It had 3 boxes that you could click. Weird. They've made it like now you got to click boxes to see stuff. Huh. Well, trust me when I say, because I don't know. Well, maybe I could still log in. Oh, here we go. You'd have 3 boxes and you could look at anything in the 3 boxes, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I'm just ripping off the metaphor because it worked so well of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if when we want to do stuff, we have the HTML, the CSS, and the preview. All right. Okay, give me the HTML here, please. I'm just going to tell them to give it to me here, so it'll save us some time. I think that Claude Desktop is a capable tool. I do. I love what it can do. But sometimes stupid stuff like this, it's faster. Just give me the thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already here. I don't need you to spoon feed me by posting it up. I can post it. I'm already on the page. It's kind of like if I had an assistant working with me in the office. I don't need to literally walk away from the assistant all the time. Sometimes the assistant can just be assisting me better by just handing me stuff like a surgeon. So I don't know if you ever seen me do the CSS stuff, but like really nice laid out CSS, very logical, very organized, alphabetical. The syntax for me, a person who's been doing CSS 20 years, I mean, really easy to follow if I ever wanted to jump in there. But more importantly, I don't care. I just don't care because like you just saw, I took 2 different LLMs and I'm like, which of you guys is smarter on what I'm trying to say to you? I'll take that one. Move on. Next. And especially later, once things get complex, like I've been showing you for all of the tools and applications I'm building in the client dashboards, even for my own internal tools, like I am a billion miles beyond caring about what they're doing under the hood because I've already given them rules on how to do it. I trust them now. Okay, so first of all, I put that in the wrong box. So human error. I got an HTML box, paste, preview. It's looking good. Save. Let's see what we got. All right. Notice it says view the content. If I log out, which I want to do this in a way. I was about to ask him to do something, but one of the things I do for my clients is I have him put a test button at the top to pretend that I'm logged out. I'm going to ask him to do that. This is amazing. Awesome. Perfect. Do me a favor. At the top of the page in the upper left corner, put a little toggle that lets me show people to test it as if I was logged out so that I don't have to switch screens because I'm on a live event and that's a pain in the ass. So put that little toggle up that switches me from being the admin to demonstrating what it would be like if I was logged out and not a subscriber. Okay. So the reason I'm doing this is because this is how I'm testing with my clients like Kathleen. We're doing stuff where we need to see like who's a homeowner, who's a home provider. But this is freaking amazing. Amazing. You guys can go to the site yourselves. I'll paste it in the chat. I am absolutely impressed with what he's done here. Let me paste it over on the YouTube channel. No, I got to paste it here. Okay, so StreamYard is fighting me as usual. There's the link. Paste. You guys can go visit the site yourself. Okay, now just where do I put this? Do I just put it anywhere in the HTML? I just ask him for the whole thing back sometimes. Okay, good. Well, that's easy enough. So to save time, all I'm going to do is add this little toggle doodad. HTML, he says right after the style tag, even Spence can do that. Paste, save. And I think we're going to wrap up with an awesome result here. And then when I have my call, I'm just going to show this video to my client, prospective client. Okay. Notice the little toggle at the top. Viewing it as a member, viewing it as a visitor. Viewing it as a member, viewing it as a visitor. How awesome is this? So when I come to the site, what do I get? A billboard, premium golf journalism, no ads, no fluff, no compromises, inside reporters, 7-day full access trial, $1. Start your trial, ladies and gentlemen. And that will add it to the thing and I will check out. And this time I could check out as somebody else. Well, I could do it incognito. You get the gist of it. Bob Smith or something. Okay. Let's change my name. Bob@smith.com. Okay. And I'll leave everything the same except for this. Bob Smith. I'm paying with the same card or I could put a new card in. Place order. What happens on the back end? Now Bob Smith should be added to the CRM, by the way. So if we go back here, we will see two things. We will see the order now for Bob Smith for his $1 trial. We will see if we go into the CRM 100%, we will have Bob Smith and he will be on the main list. Oh, sorry. You know why it didn't work? It didn't work because it was really me. But what's neat is it will have the same thing. You'll notice that it just updated like as if I was Bob Smith on top of me. Now I'm on the main list and so forth. You'll notice the reason that's here. See how I have 2 subscriptions? Okay. What's super cool, my whole purchase history, everything is here. All of the emails that were sent out to me, all here if there were any automations. But the order is here. The total value proposition, everything here. And I'm not going to do this. I'm going to wrap up because it's 40 minutes over. But I would create new automations here, like what to do when somebody begins the process. All these automations, these pre-made funnels, awesome, super easy. I can either start from scratch, import them, whatever I do. I would do like tag applied, right? And we'll call this new member. Tag applied. I'd say this starts when the person gets the purchased insider. And then what happens next? And, I would probably send them an email. I'd wait a day, send an email, and so forth. right? Send a campaign. Okay. I'm not going to do more than this because we're already over, but what did we accomplish? Wow. We've created a site that does the $66,000 of stuff. The client still needs to get approved, in this case for Amazon SES. I would do a subdomain. Which automation, John? That was inside of FluentCRM, by the way, I was just showing. So John was asking, the stuff I'm doing here, this is inside of FluentCRM, inside of the client site. But what I was saying to you guys is, depending on, there's a jillion other things I could do. Notice when I'm actually toggled in as the person who's the member, and I want to just go to the whole page, notice that some of the content could be free or could be members only. Watch what I mean. This is right now the post. If I make this one members content, all I got to do is go into categories and say, see, this is public. I'm going to make that Golf Insider content. Why? Because that way, if I go to the homepage and I try to get the Ryder's Cup stuff, this, by the way, I could also have this set up, but I can have it set up where if I'm viewing it as an outsider, this could have a thing around it that says members only. Watch this. One last doodah. Make it so that any posts, either on your homepage or in the regular blog post, have something around them like a green outline that's members only content. So we can designate automatically using the dude's help how to do members only content. Because watch what happens. If I click here and I was truly logged out, I wouldn't be able to see this. I'm going to do that last after I finish updating this, and you'll see what I mean. So add these rows right before the end of the style tag. Okay, so it's just a style issue. No big deal. So I'm going to go over here to edit the page, and I'll just pop that in the end of the style tag. And again, this is easy enough for you guys. Just look, you just put it at the end of the style tag. Ta-da. Notice member access, member access, member access, right? So really interesting. Let's log out and see what happens now. Just to validate this is correct. I'm going to go to the golf client site. Okay. Notice the toggle is irrelevant, but like start your trial, members only, members only. Like if I go to this, it should tell me, in this case, it's interesting. I'm not sure if I have to reset it, but it would normally block the content. I think I just have to check my settings. And that's all that's necessary. I mean, at the end of the year, having the ability to have a simple sales page lets them see samplers, lets them go to the content. The content can be viewed, by the way, as a singular page or as a full, segmented archive page that has the whatever style they want. I just was, doing this as fast as I could. And that's it. Okay. Takeaways. I have a jillion other things to share with you guys, but this was the way that I could demonstrate how we're still in the world where Spence has unlimited capabilities through all of his helpers, but I'm still kind of working in the factory as Willy Wonka with the Oompa Loompas, and I'm still using some components. FluentCRM for sure. WooCommerce for sure. I do like WP Fusion for sure, but there's other ways to do what I just showed you. I just wanted to demonstrate that off the shelf, WooCommerce free, FluentCRM free. Or if you're paying for membership with me, you get the pro versions of whatever you need, including subscriptions, whatever included. Hosting included. Unlimited. Hey, Spence, how do I do it? Included. Spence, set up the marketing, included. How does Spence do it? I do it like this so that I don't spend a week trying to do a bunch of bullshit. If there's an art director like this client has, I will work with the art director, who in this case is a very lovely lady. You tell me what you want, and I'll make sure that Fernando and Bernardo and the rest of the guys do it. If you have questions, if the sales team says, oh, I want to track when this, I want the analytics when I want to do, I go, no problem. Just tell me, we'll do it. I'm going to show you in the next video I do probably Sunday or maybe Saturday. I'm working with Kathleen and a bunch of other people. Kathleen with a K, Kathleen with a C. I'm working with Michelangelo's, Steve Grant, Doug, a bunch of other people, where I'm actually creating the interfaces for them to talk to Fernando and share what they're doing. And then Fernando speaks back, because I'm removing myself slowly from the process. But at the same time, I'm also building the headset and the other tools so that I can talk to Fernando and he can just keep me posted about everything that's going on in the office. Why? Because one of the other tools that I've built, I'll give you a quick sneak peek, is tools for interaction, dating, doing other things that, quite frankly, mean I can be working from the beach or elsewhere. Here's one, for example. If I went to Business Insider or I don't know, here's some article that I want to share, like about Jack Dorsey firing everybody because of AI, which is too bad. I built a new tool. Look up here. It's a Chrome extension for MinuteLaunch Research, so that I can just be like, damn, holy shit, research why Jack Dorsey pulled the floor out on everybody. Okay. Captured with a note. Why? Because instead of me sending it off to my bullshit Slack where I've been putting it, I can save whatever I want, and then I go back into MinuteLaunch under MinuteLaunch Research, or I can share this with you, by the way, on the front end. And here's all the items that I've captured recently. And by the way, it automatically takes everything about the article that's important to me and summarizes it, or I can re-enrich it so that now I have all this data available to make new publications or make newsletters or push on the front side or put to you as part of your business. I've got everything that's ever important to me from reading, as easy as that. Or I can use the quick capture page, which on mobile, I do the same thing. Or on my mobile phone, I click the button. I could do this for dating. We talked about this before. This is a product that I'm building for a client of mine, but ultimately, because again, I won't go in there, Bumble, Hinge, all the dating sites. This can take whoever it is that you're interacting with, save their information, allow you to interact in a way that tells you what would be the advice that your guru, your wing person, your wing girl would have about how to interact with that person next. This applies to things like dating, but it also applies to things like I'm interacting in business, I'm a job application, I'm filling out my taxes, I've got to order food. If you have a person who's an expert like you can be in the sidebar helping that person at all times, or on their phone or in their ear. And Fernando can be the gateway to get their advice through Fernando's capabilities. Okay, thank you guys for this extra long special edition. I'm going to go have lunch, talk to some clients. My kid just arrived down to visit his brother. I put a 15-year-old on a train because that's how I roll. It's 1970s parenting. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend, and this has been informative to you. I'll let you know how it goes with this prospect. See you next time.